If your life keeps resetting every few years, this video might explain why. Not because you're lazy, not because you're bad with money, not because you're unlucky all the time, but because some lives are built to absorb mistakes, and some lives are built to restart from them. That difference changes everything. Two people can lose the same job, make the same bad decision, or go through the same breakup, and one person loses 3 months. The other loses 3 years. That is one of the most important money truths adults miss. The real gap is not just income, it's recovery speed. Some people recover fast because their life has cushioning, a stable skill, a useful network, low fixed commitments, a little cash, a little flexibility, a place to land. That doesn't always look impressive from the outside, but it changes how hard life hits you. Other people look fine until something goes wrong. Then everything resets. A lost job becomes panic. A move becomes debt. A breakup becomes a housing problem. A career pivot becomes impossible. One interruption spreads into 5 different financial problems. That's why some adults always feel like they're rebuilding. Not because they never make progress, because their progress is fragile, and fragile progress is expensive. It costs time, it costs momentum, it costs confidence, and eventually it costs years. This is the hidden difference between people who seem to bounce back and people who feel permanently delayed. It's not just discipline, it's life design. A lot of people think financial stability means earning enough to cover normal life. That's too small. Real stability means your life can survive disruption without collapsing into restart mode. That is a completely different standard because adulthood is not expensive only when things go wrong. Adulthood gets expensive when one problem forces a full reset. That's the real danger. Not one bad month, but one bad month that destroys your position. That's what most people underestimate. They think the goal is to keep moving forward. But for a lot of adults, the real problem is simpler. They keep losing their place, they get little ahead, then something knocks them back. They rebuild their savings. Then a move wipes it out. They finally stabilize, then burnout forces a reset. They build a routine, then one disruption breaks the whole system. And after enough cycles, the emotional damage becomes structural. Because once you've restarted too many times, you stop trusting momentum. You stop believing progress will stay. So you become more cautious, more tired, and more defensive. And that makes the next restart even easier. That is how some people lose years without ever making one dramatic mistake. If this already sounds familiar, subscribe. This channel is for people who want to understand the hidden structure behind why adult life keeps feeling harder than it should. Now here's why some people keep starting over. First, they build lives that depend on continuity. That sounds normal, but it's dangerous. If your housing, schedules, relationships, income, and emotional energy all depend on everything staying stable, then one disruption doesn't create one problem. It creates a chain reaction. Second, they build progress without recovery infrastructure. This is where a lot of smart adults get trapped. They focus on growth but ignore resilience. They want the better job, the better city, the better routine, the better identity. But they don't build enough margin underneath it. So the moment life hits them, they don't bend. They restart. That's why some people look like they're moving up fast, until they disappear for 2 years. Not because they failed publicly, because they had no shock absorbers privately. Third, They confuse visible progress with durable progress. Visible progress is easy to see: a better apartment, a cleaner routine, a more impressive title, a more put together life. Durable progress is harder to notice. Can you survive a bad quarter? Can you change jobs without panic? Can you leave a bad relationship without financial collapse? Can you pause for 3 months without your whole life breaking? That is the real test. A lot of people are not behind because they lack ambition. They are behind because every setback costs too much. And when every setback costs too much, life stops feeling like growth. It starts feeling like recovery. Here's a fast self check. If one bad month would force multiple parts of your life to change at once, your life may be too fragile. If every disruption becomes a full reset instead of a temporary setback, you may not have enough recovery infrastructure. If progress in your life disappears faster than it compounds, you are not just under pressure, you are living in restart mode. And restart mode is expensive, not only in money, in years. That's why some people look stuck even when they work hard, learn fast, and keep trying. Their problem is not effort. Their problem is that their life has no safe way to fail. That's what real financial strength actually does. It doesn't just help you grow faster, it helps you fall shorter. And adults who fall shorter keep more years. Most people think success is about how high you can climb. But after a certain age, it's also about how little you lose when life hits back. Because the people who keep starting over are not always less capable. A lot of the time, they just built lives that are too expensive to interrupt.